Northwestern fired football coach Pat Fitzgerald on Monday amid hazing allegations within the football team. They've had some success over the years, but they've struggled the last couple. Where do they go now?
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Shemon. Thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. Really appreciate that. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. The Northwestern football team is in shambles. We will analyze the coaching situation moving forward, the players, the schedule, the season, everything upcoming. And then we'll close out with a little lighthearted fun at the end with Tuesday tweets. Be sure to subscribe and follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way you'll get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. All right, let's start it off. Pat Fitzgerald fired as the head coach at Northwestern. This is amid hazing allegations, which obviously cost him his job. I think it is best to rehash this story chronologically from the end of last week and give you my opinion along the way. Of course, a former anonymous player spoke out late in 2022 about team hazing. Pat Fitzgerald claimed that he had no knowledge whatsoever of the hazing following a 6-month school-led investigation. The school last Friday on July 7th decided to suspend Fitzgerald for 2 weeks without pay. Now, let's stop right there and analyze that first part. They heard the allegations. They did their investigation. They said, all right, there's something here, but maybe it's not that bad. We really like our football coach, so let's just slap on the wrist and we'll do this for 2 weeks when all the coaches across the country are on vacation anyway here in July. We'll get to Big Ten Media Days and business as usual. I think that was the hope when they first did this. Now, again, he's a former player. He's been there since 2006. He's won 10 games at Northwestern 3 times. 3 times. He's won 9 games 2 times. Coaches don't win football games at Northwestern. He's the winningest coach there. He's won 110 games. They really liked him. They did not want to fire him. Okay. So that's why they just did the suspension, kind of like a soft suspension. Not that it wasn't a hard punishment, kind of like a soft opening for a restaurant. Just, okay, let's just do this and let's move on. We got new facilities online at Ryan Field. Everything's good. But then this past weekend, the accusatory former player talked with Michael Schill, the president of Northwestern. Now, Michael Schill says he did not know the identity of this accuser until a few days ago. Met with the parents, met with him, and then immediately started having second thoughts like, hey, maybe I didn't make this punishment harsh enough. I need to consider something much more serious here. So that's what took place over the weekend. Now, let's get into this a little bit. The accuser was also talking to the media. That's why a lot of this information was coming out almost in real time. A couple of things that struck me. The accuser says that Fitzgerald absolutely knew about the hazing and failed to stop it and protect the kids. If that's true, that's bad. But he also said if Fitzgerald did not know, then he should not be coach because, he doesn't have control of the program, whatever. Both of those statements cannot be true at the same time. To say that he absolutely knew about the hazing and then in the next breath say, but if he didn't know, he shouldn't be coach. Pick one or the other. So right there, the accuser loses a little bit of credibility in the court of public opinion. Then the current team issued a statement, a long letter, said that the players do not condone hazing. It is not part of their culture. Players say that the allegations are very disheartening, that they have been, quote unquote, exaggerated and twisted into lies, fabrications that have been made with the intention of harming the program, the players, and the staff. The players also say that Fitzgerald had no knowledge of allegations of hazing until the school's investigation over the last several months. That's not the same as coming out and saying that hazing never took place here. It's not. It's not the same. And I think it's important to differentiate that as we move forward. So with all that going on, and by the way, the letter was signed entire Northwestern football team. Not everybody signed it. It just literally said the word entire Northwestern football team. That was the signature on the letter. But apparently the support of the entire Northwestern football team was not enough, because on Monday, President Schill fired Fitzgerald, who was 2 years into a 10-year, $57 million contract extension after receiving interest from other NFL teams. They want him to stay. I told you at the beginning. They love him. They want him to be there. They paid him more money to keep him there and not have other teams poach him away, college or NFL. But that's all over as of Monday. So I look at this as a couple different ways. First, as a parent, how would you feel if your kids were on the team? How would I feel if my kids were on the team? I'd be pretty upset. I'd want something to happen to somebody and get them out of there. I'd go in all defensive mode. Secondly, though, by nature, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. If somebody says something to me, at first glance, I'm going to believe them. And Fitzgerald said he did not know that this was going on. Part of that is plausible. He's in charge of 125 kids, and he doesn't know where they are every hour of every day. He just doesn't. But when you're the top guy, the responsibility still falls on you. Maybe there's a third option. Maybe there were false, vindictive accusations here. Maybe. We don't know. But I would sure hate to lose my job that way, just because somebody had an axe to grind against me. So anyway, many ways to look at it. And it's a done deal now. He's fired. He's gone. I have a lot of reaction to this. And I also will tell you who I think should be the next head football coach at Northwestern moving forward. And I'll analyze the upcoming season. All that coming up as we continue on Locked On Big Ten. We are brought to you by Bird Dogs, and Bird Dogs stretch khaki shorts are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and the leg, giving you a truly sculpted look. Bird Dog shorts do the exact same thing as Lululemon, but they fit way better. They fit way better than regular shorts that are made of stiff, restricting cotton. Bird Dogs fix this issue by inventing cloud knit fabric that looks just like khakis, but it stretches. So you get a way slimmer fit, way more comfortable. You don't sacrifice movement. It's a beautiful, breezy summer day when you wear them. Bird Dogs uses anti-stink, sweat wicking fabric that keeps you cool and dry all day long as well. So do me a favor. Do yourself a favor. Go to birddogs.com/lockedoncollege for a free Yeti-style tumbler with your order. That's birddogs.com/lockedoncollege for a free Yeti-style tumbler. You won't want to take your Bird Dogs off. That we promise you. All right, let's continue. So Pat Fitzgerald has been fired as the head football coach at Northwestern due to the hazing accusations going on there. A lot of questions that I have moving forward. I mean, this is a moving story. It's happening in real time. Did President Schill cave to public pressure, or did he find newer, more significant evidence against Fitzgerald? I would like to know that. I would, if the president was here, I would ask him that right now, because, he had one decision on Friday and then came out with another decision on Monday, which is his prerogative, by the way. But it kind of reminds me of the Craig Shemon situation when he was an assistant coach at Ohio State and he took the Tennessee job. And before he landed in Tennessee, there was this social media movement that pressured this school against hiring him because he had ties to Jerry Sandusky and Penn State. And ultimately, he did not get the job and ultimately ended up at Rutgers. Kind of reminds me of that a little bit. Again, I'd like to know if there was public pressure behind it. Surely there was. President Schill said he took a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails, a lot of messages, both pro and con, over the weekend. He listened to everybody. I also initially wondered, did Fitzgerald stick to his story behind closed doors? And I think he did. I think he did that. He, claimed that he didn't know this was going on, because President Schill even suggested on Monday that evidence showed throughout the 6-month investigation that that the coach really didn't know what was going on. There was nothing that pointed to him, not telling the truth. So the other question I have is, will Fitzgerald coach again? He's only 48 years old. Again, there was some interest from the NFL, and maybe he ends up going to the NFL now, or maybe he ends up going to Alabama with Nick Saban, his career rehab program he's got there with offensive consultants that he brings in, and they get jobs. Happens all the time. So the question remains, who will coach Northwestern? The football season is coming up. Big Ten media days are in 2 weeks, practice, and then the season. It's basically here. So it's too late to really go get somebody else outside the program. And the easy answer would be just to promote a coordinator. But I don't think you can do that here, because if Fitzgerald is being fired for the hazing and either looking the other way or not knowing about it or whatever the case is, chances are a lot of his staff is kind of in the same boat, don't you think? There is one exception, though, and that's new defensive coordinator David Braun. He just got there. He could be, man, I just got here. I didn't know any of this stuff was going on. It's plausible. Comes from North Dakota State. They just won 2 national championships there. He's never been a head coach. Maybe that helps him. Maybe that doesn't. Maybe it helped make a nice, easy transition because he has no preconceived ideas of what's going on. But they need to make it. And I think they made an announcement on Monday that in the next day or two, they would make another announcement as to the leadership of this football program. And they've got to get it done before the Big Ten Media Days on July 26th and 27th at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, where, by the way, Fitzgerald was scheduled to speak on that Wednesday, the 26th at 11:45. So whoever the new head coach is going to be, that's going to be a primo spot. A lot of cameras and microphones there. Another question I had, will the players revolt? Players today have a lot more power than they used to just a few years ago, not just because of NIL, but the transfer portal. And, a lot of players just transferred into Northwestern. They just got here. And I feel bad for those kids. Absolutely. Another question I have, will there be any legal charges? A lot of these harassment accusations were of sexual nature in the locker room. You could press charges. I mean, these players that were allegedly in charge of the hazing are of legal age and can be prosecuted. Another question there. And then finally, as we look ahead to this Northwestern football team, what is this season going to look like? This is a team that did not score 10 points in 6 of its last 8 games last year. They were negative 18 on turnover margins. They need good coaching. They don't have a head coach anymore. Ben Bryant, probably going to be the starting quarterback this year. They got Brandon Sullivan and Ryan Hilinski, but Bryant came in, good size, good experience. Played at Cincinnati, left Cincinnati, went to Eastern Michigan, came back to Cincinnati, then said, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to Northwestern." And then this happens. You feel horrible for kids like this. There are other, at running back, this team, Evan Hull's gone. He caught 55 passes out of the backfield last year. He's now playing for the Colts. But Cam Porter's going to replace him. Now, Cam played in 12 games last year, 286 yards of rushing, which, okay, that's modest, no doubt about it. But he missed 2021 because he had a preseason season-ending injury. And in 2020, though, the year before that, he led the team in rushing as a true freshman. Lit up Illinois for 142 yards. Go back and check the film out of that game. Then he made his first career start against Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game in 2020. This was a kid that has sweat equity in this program and in this coaching staff, and it is his turn. Next man up, it's his turn to go. And now this happens. That's the kind of kid you feel horrible about. The defense, I told you, David Braun, the new defensive coordinator. You know why he was brought in? Because Northwestern has the worst run defense in the Big Ten. They've got some problems. They got a couple of linebackers, and Bryce Gallagher, who's been there for 3 years, A lot of tackles. Also, Xander Mueller, been their second leading tackler. They're okay at linebacker. They've lost a couple of corners. A.J. Hampton went to Tulane. Cameron Mitchell goes to the Browns. So he's NFL talent that's gone. Jeremiah Lewis is back at safety, made 70 tackles last year. Rod Hurd at nickel made 67 tackles. Too many tackles being made by safeties. That's the last defense. You know how it works. That needed to be fixed. People are running through them like a sieve. So that's a look at the players now and what they're facing. At this time, I always like to look ahead a little bit to the future. Right now, the class of 2024 is ranked 54th in the country. It's modest. Jameer Benjamin, a corner out of West Bloomfield, Michigan, just signed on June 8th. You think he's hanging around? Brandon Zerbrud, quarterback out of Alliance, Ohio, just signed on June 26th. He's not staying. And by the way, other teams, they're going to be calling these kids. They're going to be calling these kids because they're not going to want to stay. There's no doubt about it. All right, so let's look at the team, present, future. It's crazy. Let's take a quick look at their schedule this year. They were 1-11 last year. I told you about all the 10-win seasons they had. Last year was not one of them. 1-11, 1-8 in the Big Ten. You know what their best game was? Not to get. They won. They beat Dublin, or they beat Nebraska in Dublin, their season opener last year, 31-28. But I think their best game of the season last year was a loss to Ohio State. Cold day in November at Northwestern. Had them on the ropes at the half. And look, Ohio State won 21-7, though. It was Northwestern's best effort. So as I look at the season this year, it's tough. And their opener is at Rutgers. It's Sunday, September 3rd. That's right, Sunday, September 3rd at noon. There are 3 college football games on Sunday. It's the weekend where the NFL preseason is over and it's getting ready to start the Thursday night opener. So they're open that weekend. Some college games sprinkled in. Sunday, there are 3 nationally televised games, triple header, 2 different networks. And the first one right out of the box, Northwestern at Rutgers. National TV media going to be all over Northwestern and all the questions. That's pretty tough. If they can huddle together, maybe with all the adversity they're going through and they can pull together, maybe that's going to be a tough game at Rutgers. The next week they come home, their home opener, 3:30 on the 9th against UTEP. That is a winnable game. Then they're at Duke. They lost the last year 31-13. Maybe they can win that one. Minnesota's probably a loss. Penn State, probably a loss. They got a home game against Howard on the 7th of October, 3 o'clock. They can win that game. Then the bye week. Then it's Nebraska, Maryland, Iowa, Wisconsin, Purdue, and Illinois to close it out. I don't see them winning any of those games. So best case scenario, maybe if they can get either Rutgers or Duke, throw in a UTEP and a Howard, and it's a 3-9 season. Best case scenario. It's tough. It was tough before this scandal went through. What are you going to do? All right. Excuse me. I want to thank you for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen every day. And you every day, as our next show will be an early look at Tom Allen and the Indiana Hoosier football team. That's all coming up. Be sure to subscribe to YouTube, share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten. Coming up is our weekly feature of Tuesday tweets on Locked On Big Ten. All right, back here on Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Shemon. Thank you for being here. Let's close it out with some fun with some Tuesday tweets that I have gathered. Actually, this one's not so fun. This is from the Northwestern Football team, or Northwestern University, making an announcement that Pat Fitzgerald has been fired. That came out late on Monday. Coach Tom Allen at Coach Allen IU. Great night with the offensive linemen at our home. Lots of food and an awesome time to connect. Hashtag Leo, hashtag toughness. Much different vibe there at the Indiana football program than at Northwestern these days, wouldn't you say? Here we go. Wolverine Chronicle. Will there be 2 1,000-yard rushers this season for Michigan? Question and answer. Yes, there will be. Corum and Edwards. There you go. Like it. What else we have here? Chuck Douglas is a viewer at Chuck Douglas. Just got done watching our preview of the Maryland football season a couple of days ago. Very complimentary. Says, good listen. Locked On Big Ten's season preview. The Locked On Big Ten podcast is the premier destination for daily content focused on the deepest, most prestigious conference in all the country at Big Ten football. I agree with you, Chuck. Thank you. Good tweet, by the way. And finally, we close it out at JWP Sports. And it has a big picture of Texas and Oklahoma on the Red River rivalry. Where does this rivalry rank among the college football rivalries? Well, it's good. I even lived in Texas for a while. It's good. No doubt about it. But you know what's number one, boys and girls? You know what's number one. Michigan and Ohio State. No doubt about it. All right. That's it. Thank you for all the tweets. And we'll continue to collect those. You can hit me at Twitter at TalkBig10. Love to hear from you there. And also, I hit the comments on the bottom of YouTube as well if you want to follow me there. And subscribe down below, please. Thank you. I would really appreciate that. Also want to invite you to check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast as your next listen throughout the day. Have yourself a great day. I'm Craig Shemon for Locked On Big Ten.